Candace Hiltz was just 17 when she was found shot dead in her family home in Copper Gulch. In this video, we will tell you what really happened. Candace Hiltz, a 17-year-old college junior at Brigham Young University, was born in Cannon City, Colorado, on December 22, 1988. She was recently accepted to attend the prestigious Stanford Law School. Candace had ambitious dreams of becoming a Supreme Court justice. She was a young woman who believed what was right and what was wrong was wrong. There was no gray area for her. She was the baby of a large family, and as the youngest of 7 children, she didn't let her age define her. She was fiercely loyal, outspoken, intelligent, and funny. She juggled her academic pursuits while caring for her 11-month-old daughter, Paige, who had a medical disorder and required so much extra care. Candace was taking online classes at this point to give her more time and freedom to care for Paige. She was living with her mother, Dolores, in a house that backed up to the woods, sort of in the county, but most of this area is pretty rural. Her father had passed away years ago, and this is when Dolores moved the family to this area for a fresh start. With Candace being the baby, she was the only one living at home with her mother. She did have an older brother, James, who would occasionally come and go, but because of his mental illness, he mainly lived in the woods behind the property and would only come back to shower or grab essentials. His mental illness was pretty severe, and this once happy-go-lucky man became so depressed he withdrew from the world. He wouldn't or couldn't talk or be around people, including his family. Candace Hiltz was murdered in her home on August 15, 2006. But a few strange things started happening a few days before her brutal attack, so I'm going to start there. An officer from the Fremont Sheriff's Department came to the family's home looking for James. He said he wanted to question him about the trespassing charge. This is when Dolores told this officer that James was not there and she didn't know where he was located. According to Dolores, the officer started yelling at her and telling her she was lying. Now Candace, being exactly who she was, did not take this officer yelling at her mother well. She then got involved and started yelling back at the officer and told him to leave, and that if he didn't, she would expose him to taking bribes from drug dealers. This did not go over well, but the officer left the property at this point. The family's beloved dog would go missing a few days after this incident. This was very strange because this dog named Jackson would never leave the property and was a trained guard dog or anything like that, but this dog would bark if anyone came into the yard. At first, Dolores thought Jackson just wandered into the woods, so she went to look for her but came up empty-handed and figured she would be back soon. But before anyone would find Jackson, someone would break into the family home and kill Candace. Tuesday, August 15, 2006, started out like any other for Candace and Dolores. Dolores had to run some errands in town for a friend, leaving Candace and baby Paige at the house. This wasn't normal. Dolores stated she would usually stay with the two because of Paige's medical needs. She didn't feel comfortable leaving all of that to Candace, but this day she really needed to go out, so she pushed that uncomfortable feeling away and went into town. Dolores arrived home around 3:20 in the afternoon, and as soon as she walked through the door, she knew something terrible had happened. The back door was opened, and there was blood everywhere. She was yelling out for her daughter, but she couldn't find her at first. She did find Paige in her crib, crying. Dolores stated, "I see a piece of the blanket sticking out from under her bed. I pulled it out, and it was Candy. 75% of her head is gone." Candace was wrapped in a navy and green comforter and stuffed under a bed. A white computer speaker was used to prop the bed up enough, and all I can think about is, was this used so that she would fit under the bed? And what is the point of putting her under the bed? They would find her quickly based on the amount of blood around the house. So why even take the time to try to hide her body when there was zero chance of her not being found? The whole thing doesn't make sense. Why kill a 17-year-old girl so brutally? We will get into the autopsy in just a bit, but also, why put her under the bed? So many aspects of this case just do not make sense. Dolores calls the police, and they arrive at the scene, and the investigation starts. But right away, this mother can tell authorities' sights are set on one person, James Hiltz, Dolores' son and Candace's brother. Dolores would say during a 4-hour interview with police that they would bring up James more than anything and who he was hanging out with. She responded by telling them that he doesn't hang out with anyone. He wouldn't even speak to his brothers because of his mental illness. James wouldn't enter the house if anyone was home, and he would get food and water from a camper that she would keep stocked for him. That didn't stop police from believing James was a suspect. The search for him in the woods was intense. So many agencies came out to help the search for James, who they assumed was armed and dangerous. They had tracking dogs, helicopters, and many people searching the woods. They would eventually locate James and put him under arrest. James did not have a single weapon on him or in his tent. While they were searching for James, searchers found the family dog dead, tied to a tree. The body was decomposed, and they would find a bullet inside. So, the dog Jackson was murdered as well. Was she taken a few days before Candace's murder so she wouldn't be alerted of people coming onto the property? This investigation was a mess to begin with. Not only did the police have tunnel vision when it came to James, but they also didn't correctly search and seize evidence from the house. Once the family was let back into the property, they found bloody items, the actual blanket that Candace was wrapped up in, and even a shell casing was found in Paige's crib. The family would put on gloves and collect these items themselves. The family would request the autopsy many times and be denied, but finally, years later, a local news outlet requested it and actually got a lawyer involved to get it, and finally, something was released. However, Dolores believes there are some inaccuracies on it. Candace was shot 7 times with 3 different types of guns. She was shot 6 times in the head and once in the chest. 1 shot in the front to the head, and then 5 others from the back with a small caliber gun, and then once in the front in the chest with a medium caliber gun. Shooting someone this many times is absolutely insane. It also makes me think there was more than one shooter. I can't see someone shooting someone, let's say, from the front first, then flipping them over to shoot them more in the back. That just doesn't make sense. And why so many times? And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.